you want more general tips on the kiting of PvP maps, then go check out the Forest of Niflhel video, which is going to be in the playlist link below. But as for this video, we're going to just jump straight into the Temple of the Silent Storm. Just remember the 4 types of kiting spots there are, and what kind of enemies you want to be using those against. Temple of the Silent Storm is a very split-oriented map. You don't want to be zerging around on this map because it's so easy for you to run back to the mid node from your spawn because it's so close to it, unlike the Legacy of the Foefire where you get snowballed pretty hard. And the mid node is also one of the more kite-oriented spots on this map because there are so many different things that you can use there, whereas the side nodes are very scantily placed with kite spots. So it's a lot harder for you to survive on the side nodes, and it therefore promotes people to go there instead, which is more like a side nodey kind of roamer duelist play. And on this map, as soon as you leave your spawn, you can be spawn camped here, but you can go back this way and exit this way, and it gives you a little bit of a low visibility to leave and there are options here. Also, if you're like getting chased out of mid or like the altar node or the temple node, you can run back into this area and there's no objective anywhere near here. So if you go back here and you just like use this as like a height advantage, you can basically waste the enemy's time if they invest enough time and resources to chase you. If you're outnumbered, they get the kill on you, and then where do they go? Like, the nodes are so far away and the objectives are so far away, it's not really worth it, and then you just respawn nearby. So that's a really good kiting spot. If you know you're doomed, you just bring them back in there and then you waste their time. Then you over here you have these boxes which bring you to this ice ledge, which is another way of going up here instead of these like stairs. And this area in general is just really good if you have leaps, because you can leap over this gap, and even though they can just run, it's not a straight line to run to you. So leaps are actually very good over these little like pits, and you can just like avoid melee attacks by just jumping the corners here even, and it's just harder for people to chase you in general. You also have, so at the temple, you have this little torch here. It's just a little nice spot to use for height advantage. You have this ice ledge here, which you can use to get a lot of height advantage. And depending on what kind of line of sight you need, you can go all the way over here. You've also got, so you can port up to the ledge here and just use below here. Like, there's a lot of line of sight and low visibility down here, and people will struggle to chase you if they don't see what you're doing down there. Into the node, you actually have this torch here, which is kind of hard to get into if you don't have a leap skill, but basically this wall will line of sight you, so you need to move to the top of the stairs and then get a good line of sight, and then you can use the leap skill to get in that torch, and it's really hard to get there if you don't have a leap, so melee classes will struggle there. In the temple, you have this little set of like barrels. You want to stay as far left, like face as far left as possible until you get to the top, and then you can hold right, and then once you get to the top, you can line of sight with these torches and these beams, and you can get a height advantage from these pillars, which are pretty nice. This one is very good because you can also line of sight behind it, and then if they chase you up, then you can go on top of it. You can line of sight, and there's low visibility behind these like cubbies. You can go on these pillars and stuff like that. And then there's a no port spot over here, which you can get to. So I can't port to there, but I can port to here, and then I can jump to here, and then I'm safe from getting ported to. Behind these little bear totems, you can line of sight as well. And there's a bear totem over here. Now here is a little bit of a difficult spot to do. You can jump onto this ledge, and that's usually good enough because you can't be ported to. But if you jump around these narrow corners, You can transition into mid from there, or just other kite spots like this. So heading into the top buff area, you can port to here, which can transition into mid. You can stand on these boxes over here, and that's like your only like height advantage. And obviously there's line of sight and low visibility over here. These pits into the bottom buff can be useful because you can just jump the corners like this, and it makes it really hard for melee attackers to hit you. And if you have leap skills, then you can even jump across them, and that makes it really hard for them to chase you. You do have to be careful though, because of knockbacks and, you know, cripples and stuff like that. You can often just fall down. And over here you can port into mid from there, and also if you have a leap skill, you can stand on top of this thing right here and then jump to the low end there, and that'll get you into mid. At the altar, you have these pillars which can give you a good height advantage, and these two pillars are the same thing. There's not really much else though over by the altar. It's very hard for you to survive at the altar node, so it's better for you to attack altar than for you to defend altar. However, there are pillars nearby the node, which is very good for line of sight, so you can be contesting the node and still have access to these line of sight pillars, which are quite good. And obviously this is good for line of sight too, using like this back area, which you can use this ledge, and they can't contest the node and hit you at the same time. So if they want, they have to choose between contesting the node and shooting you or whatever. And then this ledge here, you can jump to this pillar here, which is a no port spot, or you can bait people to port to you from here. If you stand on this little like ledge here, they can port to you. Like say a thief can steal to you, or a rev can like use their phase traversal to you, but they'll actually port below you because there's technically area below you here that it would count that instead. So that's kind of like a good bait spot. But yeah, there's really nothing else here. You have visibility of who's on the node from just looking underneath the bridge like this. You can target them, and then from here you can port to them because this will be in range with a lot of skills. And then over here you can use these little pits as well, like the top buff. You can jump across the corner and it'll be harder for melee attackers to hit you. And down here, it's the same thing on the other side. You can go back here if you're being outnumbered and you know you're going to die 100%. Just go over here, use the height advantage, and just waste as much of their time as possible. And once they kill you, then they can't really go anywhere for a while after they've done so. If you're getting chased down here, you can actually juke really hard as well if you have a port. So if you get chased back into here, you can port up to here, and then you can go straight into mid, and they're all the way down there. And you can do that on this side of the map as well. If they chase you all the way down here, you want to port to over here, and then you can just go into mid or just go wherever, and it's a big juke. You've got this box here into these ice ledges. You can also port to all of these ledges here, which gives porting classes quite an advantage. But over here you have a no port spot in this middle little platform, which is kind of nice. You can also get to these side platforms from the ice mound in between the platforms on both sides. So if you're getting chased, you can go here and then jump here, and from here you can go to middle, and middle has a very, like, you can see how low the midpoint is from all these ledges. If you're like a ranged class, you can really pressure the mid node or like the team fight at mid while being really safe positioning up here. So jumping across that little ledge there is nice. One thing I do like to use is this ledge right here, and there's a ledge on the other side. You can go up this ledge instead of going up the stairs, and then you can just keep going up and down that. It's kind of nice because it prevents melee attackers from hitting you. Just going up these stairs in general makes it hard for the melee attackers to hit you. And then here you have this little room, I guess, and it's low visibility and line of sight, but it's kind of a dead end spot. So you got to be careful, because like say you're getting chased in by a class that could just AoE you while you're in here, then you're just going to eat it all and you have to exit anyways, so you're going to just run right into them. You can also jump from outside of this room to this ledge here if you turn very quickly, and then you can be up here, and this is a pretty hard spot for melee classes to get to. You can also port to here from below, which is a really nice spot, and you can, if you really want to, you can jump into these little torches, and they give you kind of a good line of sight because these little rims are pretty high up, but you're kind of a sitting duck in here if they have any AoE that's ranged. And these torches are pretty nice because you can't jump to them from below, but if you just go up slightly into the stairs, then you can jump into these torches and that gives you a height advantage. And same thing over this side, you have the torch, just get a little bit of height and jump from the high to the low. Over here you have the same thing, you have the little room with low visibility, you can use this torch, and you have this spot over here which you can either jump to from below here and just jump straight into the corner, and then you can jump up, and then from there you can even run along this little like plank and get even higher, so that's kind of nice. You can also get to the top of this roof by these like ice ledges, which gives you no port spot and very easy access to just bombing the mid node. And if someone chases you up here, you can get further height advantage on them from this little platform. Heading in towards the bottom buff, you have a little bit of a corner here that you can jump into. So if I use like a rollback or some kind of like jump dodge, you can get into this corner, and it's pretty hard to get to. You can't really jump there unless you jump dodge, so it's a nice spot if you're getting chased from mid and a bunch of melee classes are on you. And then once you go into the bottom buff, there's low visibility and line of sight below the bridge, and you can use these boxes to get height advantage, and obviously these pillars are good line of sight. You can jump on top of these ice pillars, and these are kind of nice for no port spots, and you can actually access it from over here as well. If you just go to the top here and then jump left, get to the very highest point and then jump up. And then this side also has the same thing, you can jump on this ledge of ice, and then these pillars are good for line of sighting, but that's pretty much it. So at the bottom buff, it's very important that you don't die even while outnumbered, because you relinquish your hold on the enemy, because if you go to the bottom buff, there's pretty much nowhere else you can go except to mid from there, so you have to invest quite a bit, and you gain so much value from stalling more enemies there than pretty much any other objective. So here I am trying to survive by supporting my teammate in this like 2v3, while also using my ranged abilities to stop them from casting the buff. But I am getting chased here now by a Revenant and a Lightning Rod LE, so I have to be very careful. I try to go up the terrain here, but I'm getting chilled, and I'm forced to go into my mist form to take the jump, and from here I get pulled off of the jump spot, and I have to blink to interrupt their casting of the buff. So I'm very low on cooldowns. I have to go invuln, and I do a little bit of a juke by not jumping off the ledge and staying up for a little bit longer, going up and down the bridge there for a little bit of height advantage, and I'm just jumping constantly to create that height that might eventually cause their melee attacks to miss. And then I eventually get on top of this little ledge here, but I am finally taken out. But because I survived so long in this outnumbered situation, it gave my team a little bit more time to figure out what they want to go for, and we even got a kill during this, so it's pretty good. And that's pretty much how you want to think about surviving around certain objectives. And if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe, and check out the other maps kite spots videos in the description playlist below. And I will see you guys next time.